talk. And our speaker today is Dr. Vipul Thakkar, Professor of Mathematics at Central University of Rajasthan, Kishangarh, and is going to speak on loops and gyro groups. Professor Thakkar, over to you.
So thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Manoj Kumar and Professor Anupam Singh for giving me this opportunity to talk on the topic on loops and gyro groups. So, what is actually a loop? So, groupoid L with identity 1 is called a right loop if the equation xa is equal to b. This equation is uniquely solvable for all AB in L. So this equation, this such type of equation is called as right equation. So one must note that the unknown is in left, but we are calling this equation as right equation. So right loop L is called a loop if the left equation is also uniquely solvable in L for all AB in L. It means a loop is an algebraic structure in which both sided equation, the right equation as well as left equation, they are uniquely solvable in X. So associativity is not required. So if in case it is associative, so it is a group. So it means it is a basically loop is a group without associativity. All the conditions are a group without associativity. So natural example of loop is a group. So each group is a loop because if we have a group, then the equations are uniquely solvable in group. So second example, which is not the group, is the Latin square. So what is Latin square? So Latin square is the rectangular array in which each element appears exactly once in a row as well as in a column. So why it is happening? Because we have the uniqueness of the solution, the left equation and the right equation. So if we recall this equation ax is equal to b, if we fix a here and vary b, so this equation actually corresponds to the row in front of a, and if we fix a here in this right equation, so vary b, so we get unique solution for all b. So it means it will correspond to the column, and because of uniqueness, I will get each and every element exactly once in each row and each column. And because we are saying that there is identity, so without any loss, we can assume that first element can be regarded as identity. So the first row and first column will be intact. So 0, 1, 2. So this is Latin square. So why it is, and one can check, it is non-associative. Why? Because if you see this table, so 202 is 0 and 0 is identity. So 003 is 3. But if you see 203, so 203 is 1 here and 201 is 4. So here from this side, this is 3, and from this side, this is 4. So this structure is a loop which is not a group because associativity fails. So it is a fact that up to order 4, each loop is a group. So if one wishes to find a loop for in finite case, which is not a group, so one has to find in order 5. So this is the order 5 loop, which is not a group. Okay. Now second example. So second example is the well-known example, which you know as Cayley-Dickson doubling process. So what one does actually, so one start from the field F. So for the sake of convenience, the field is different from the characteristic 2. So start with the base. Yes. So start from the base step is F, and we take the conjugation A bar to A in F, and suppose the AN is defined So we define an plus 1 in the next step. So an plus 1 is the Cartesian product of an with an itself, and we define addition the component wise and the multiplication like that. So a b c d is ac lambda times d bar b ta plus bc bar, where lambda is some fixed non-zero element in the field, and the conjugation in an plus 1 is defined like that. A bar, where this a bar is the conjugation in the previous step. So this is the well-known Cayley-Dickson doubling process. So each start with field f and the double after each step. So if we start with the real number field with lambda to be -1, so this is the well-known construction of the Cayley-Dickson doubling thing. So from R, if we double the R, we get the complex number system. So if we double the complex, we get Hamiltonian, and if we double the H, we get the octonian. And we know that from here to here, from C to H, we actually lose the commutativity, and from H to O, we lose associativity. And this O as a vector space is isomorphic to R8, 8-dimensional real vector space. So the elements of norm 1, which is the 7-dimensional sphere, in O, in the octonian, is a loop which is not a group. So this is an example of a loop which is not a group. It is not associative. So S7 has some structure which is loop. Okay. So the elements of algebra obtained by Cayley-Dickson doubling process, they satisfy some special type identity, which is called as Moufang identity. So this identity, the ZX, this bracket denotes that because there is not necessarily associativity. So this ZX, then YZ, and then Z, X, Y, Z, like that. This is satisfied for all X, Y, Z in this algebra, which is obtained by Cayley-Dickson doubling process. So therefore, we define a loop, the Moufang loop, in which such type of identity is satisfied. So a loop in which Moufang identity, so this identity is defined as Moufang identity. So a loop in which Moufang identity is satisfied by all the elements is called a Moufang loop. And actually there are 3 other identities also. So including this, there are four identities, and 4 are equivalent. So one can take any identity as the definition of Moufang loop. Okay. Now, so this is the same thing as we have done previously, but in some sophisticated manner. So consider field to be, as in the previous case, the field is different from the characteristic 2. So let us consider the matrix of this type. So alpha, beta, 2 by 2 matrices, where alpha, beta are the scalars, and A and B are the 3-dimensional vector. So such type of matrices are called Jorn matrix, and they form actually algebra. So this algebra is called as Jorn matrix algebra. So it is actually an example of composition algebra. So what is the composition algebra? So algebra is called composition algebra if there exists a quadratic form which allows composition. It means if there is a quadratic form n from V to F such that n of xy is equal to nx ny. So this is the part of composition algebra, and this is the fact that every composition algebra is obtained by the repeated doubling process starting from the base field F if it is different from the characteristic 2. And if we have the characteristic 2 case, so one has to start from the 2-dimensional division algebra, and the possible dimension for composition algebra is 1, 2, 4 or 8. So one can check that this is 8-dimensional algebra. So we define the product in Jorn map like that. So alpha A beta B and gamma C and D delta, like that, where dot is the usual dot product and the cross is the usual cross product. So let us collect those John matrix whose norm, it means alpha beta minus A dot B is 1, and this M1F is a Mufang loop. So, as we have seen that the 7-dimensional sphere was the elements of norm 1 exactly in the same manner, M1F is a Mufang loop in F8, sitting inside F8. So Page in this paper actually proved that for a finite field, M1F by the center of M1F are the simple Mufang loop. So I would like to mention here that M1F is a loop which is not a group. It is non-associative thing. So what do I mean by the center of a loop? So I have defined it later. So the center of loop is defined slightly different in a way we define in group. So I have defined it later. So for the time being, let us hold this concept. But what Page proved that for a finite field F, M1 by modulo its center are the simple Mufang loop. So what is the meaning of simple loop? As in the case of group, that no normal subloop except the trivial and the full. If this is the case, we call the loop as simple loop. But now the question is, what is the normality in the case of loop? So a subloop of a loop is called normal if these three conditions are satisfied. So left coset is equal to right coset and two extra things. So one can notice here that if L is a group, these last two conditions are automatically satisfied because of the associativity. Because we have, if L were a group, so it means we had the associativity. So last two conditions were automatically satisfied. So only first thing we needed in the definition. But in the case of loop, which is not a group, we need three conditions. So a subloop of a loop L is called normal if the left coset is equal to right coset, and these two extra conditions are there. And Liebeck actually proved, so what a Page proved that these are the simple Mufang loop, but Liebeck in this paper actually proved that up to isomorphism, these are the only finite simple Mufang loop. Other than that, there is no simple Mufang loop. Okay, so what is the concept of center in loop? So to define the center in loop, we have to define some extra sets. So what are that? So first we define the left nucleus. So what is the left nucleus? It is collection of all those elements in L which associates from the left. It means collection of all A such that AXY is equal to AXY. So collection of these elements are called as left nucleus. Similarly, we define the middle nucleus, the elements, those elements in A which associates from middle. And similarly, we define the right nucleus, the collection of all those elements which associates from the right. And the nucleus is defined as the intersection of all these nuclei. And there is some set that the collection of those A in L which commutes with all other element, it is called commutant. And the center of the loop is defined as commutant intersected with the nucleus. So this is the nucleus. So if L is a group, so this left nucleus, middle nucleus, right nucleus is full of G, and this nucleus is full of G, and the commutant is actually coincides with the usual center. But in case of the loop, which is not a group, the center is defined to be commutant intersected with the nucleus, and these left nucleus, middle nucleus, right nucleus are subloop. It need not be normal subloop. Nucleus is subloop, but the commutant need not be subloop also. The commutant in the case of loop, if it is not a group, the commutant need not be subloop also. But the center of loop is normal subloop of loop. This is the fact. Okay. So let us associate some group with the loop. So is it okay? Am I audible, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
So if L is a loop, so the loop definition, if you recall the definition, so both AX is equal to B and XA is equal to B are uniquely solvable. So which precisely means that the right translations and left translations, they are the bijective map. They are the permutations of L. So if we consider the subgroup generated by the group generated by left translation and right translation, so this is the group sitting inside the symmetric group on L. So this group is called as multiplication group of L. So with the loop L, we associate a group, and the inner mapping group of L is defined as those element in the multiplication group which fixes identity. So they are the stabilizer of identity. So similarly, we define the left multiplication group of the loop L, the group generated by left translation only, and similarly we define the left inner mapping group of L, the collection of those elements which fixes identity. So with a loop L, we associate these four groups: multiplication group, inner mapping, left multiplication, and left inner mapping group. So it is a fact and a very basic proposition that for a loop, a subloop is normal in L if and only if it is invariant under the inner mapping groups, inner mapping. So element of inner mapping groups are called inner mappings. So if it is a normal subloop, if and only if it is invariant under the inner mappings. So this is in analog with the group case. If a subgroup is normal, if and only if it is invariant under the inner automorphism. So in similar case, it is normal subloop if and only if it is invariant under the inner mappings. And if G is a group, then multiplication group is actually G cross G modulo the diagonal subgroup. And the inner mapping is nothing but the G mod ZG, which is in the group case, we know that it is isomorphic to inner automorphism group. So that is why we have actually inner mapping, because in the group case, it coincides with the inner automorphisms. Okay. Now, so let me define so what we have done up to now. So if we have a loop, we have associated a group. So now how can I get a loop from the group? Okay. So let G be a group and H be a subgroup, need not be normal. H be any subgroup, and take S to be right transversal to H in G with 1 in S. So what is the right transversal? So let us take all the right cosets and choose one and only one element from the right coset, and keeping in the mind that from the trivial coset, I will choose the identity element. So that set is called right transversal. So right transversal is one and only one element from each right coset with the condition that I will choose identity from the trivial coset. So the group operation induces a binary operation on S like that. So what it means actually, so take X and Y from S. So it means they are coset represent. There is coset representative Hx and there is coset representative Hy. Multiply Hx and Hy, so we get Hxy. And now I would like to see what is the representative for Hxy. So intersect with S. So this will give me some binary operation like that. So XOY, the binary operation is defined in this manner. So it one can check that this O on S, actually we get that SO is a right loop. It means only the one-sided equations are satisfied. So group operation induces a binary operation on right transversal such that SO is a right loop. And conversely, it was observed by Ramji Lal that every group, every right loop can be embedded in a group as a right transversal to a subgroup in some group. That converse is also true. Now, so now what I do, so let us take as a right transversal to H in G with the condition that identity belongs to S. So recall that SO is a right loop. Right loop means only one-sided right equation is satisfied. But in case if both equations are satisfied, it means SO is a loop. Then it is called as a loop transversal. So now loop transversal may exist or it may not exist in group. For example, if we take alternating group A4 and if we take the subgroup of order 2, so loop transversal will not exist in that case. All the transversal will be right loop, but there is no right loop in A4 with respect to the subgroup of order 2. So, but there is the classification when loop transversal exists to some particular subgroup in H. So, it is a theorem that S is a loop transversal to H in G if and only if it is a right transversal to each conjugate of H in G, or equivalently, the each conjugate of S is a right transversal to H in G. Both are equivalent. Okay. So now some author actually they were interested when the loop transversal exists in a group. So Kaplan and Lev actually prove if G is a transitive permutation group of degree p to the power n where p is a prime, then there exists a loop transversal in G. So this is the one of the interest in this area, that whether loop transversal exists or not. So Kaplan and Lev actually proved if G is a transitive permutation group of degree p to the power n, then loop transversal exists. And in the same paper, they observed that if loop transversal exists for any subgroup of G, then G is solvable. But converse need not be true, as we have seen in the case of A4. So A4 is solvable, but the loop transversal does not exist with respect to the subgroup of order 2. Okay, so now let us move to some other motivational example of the loop transversal. So let us take G to be subgroup of GLNC, the n by n invertible matrices, and the entries are from the complex number, and this UNC are the corresponding unitary subgroup, and this calligraphic HNC, they are the collection of positive definite Hermitian matrices. So let us consider H to be the intersection of G with UNC, and L the intersection of G with HNC. So let us try to see something like polar decomposition thing. So this following two things are equivalent. So the decomposition of G exists in H and L if and only if this AA star, so star means that transpose conjugate, belongs to KL for all A in G. So where the kappa is a mapping from the set of Hermitian positive definite Hermitian matrix to positive definite Hermitian matrices, and the mapping is defined by kappa x to be x square. This mapping is injective mapping. So G decomposes into HL if and only if AA star belongs to this. So this L actually appears as a loop transversal to H in G, and if one find out what is the operation on L which is induced by the group, so this is the group loop, the operation which is induced on L. So L is a loop, and the binary operation on L is defined like that. AOB is the under root AB square A. Okay. So now let us consider next example as a loop transversal. So let G be a group of triality. So which means that we have the two automorphisms, sigma and rho. Sigma an automorphism of order 2 and rho is an automorphism of order 3, such that they generate the group isomorphic to symmetric group on 3 symbol, and such that this extra condition is satisfied. So if we write this the thing in commutator notation, so it means that I can write actually this is the commutator sigma g, and then commutator sigma g with the action of rho, and commutator sigma g with the action of rho square is 1. So in other commutator notation it can be expressed like that. So if we take H to be the collection of all those elements in G which are fixed by this sigma, the order 2 automorphism, and if we take M to be collection of such type of element, then M is a loop transversal which is indeed a Moufang loop. So we have already defined the Moufang loop. So this is a Moufang loop. So now the natural question is, what about the converse? So converse is also true. So if M is a Moufang loop, then one can construct a group with triality in which M appears as a loop transversal. So this is the work of Mikheev. So original paper is in Russian, but its English translation is also available. And there is recent memoirs on American Mathematical Society that one can go through all the discussion here, that Moufang loops and groups with triality are essentially the same thing. This is the title of this memoirs by J.I. Hall. Okay, now there is another approach. So now what we have actually done so far. So I had a group G, and then I was searching a loop transversal in it. Now there is another approach. So now if I take a group G, and now I ask whether this G can be multiplication group of some loop or not. So whether a group can be a multiplication group or not. So for this, Kepka and Niemann, they studied its necessary and sufficient condition, and the condition is this. So group G is a multiplication group of a loop if and only there exists a core phi subgroup H in G and two transversals. I think this is typo. Two transversals A and B with the commutator subgroup A and B contained in H, and G is generated by A and B. Now the natural question is to search for some trivial cases. So if we look at the Hamiltonian group, in which Hamiltonian group are the groups other than abelian group in which all subgroups are normal, so it cannot be the multiplication group. So other class of group is the Hynek and Mohammed group. So it is a group, it means infinite group in which all proper subgroups are properly contained in their normalizer, but they have trivial center. They also cannot be the multiplication group of a loop. So the natural question is, what are other examples which can be multiplication group of some loop? So Vesanen actually proved that the PSLNQ, the projective spatial linear group, is a multiplication group of a loop if and only if n is greater than or equal to 3, and nq they are different from 3 to, and GCD of n and q minus 1, this is 1. And Trapal and Kepka, they actually prove that alternating group is a multiplication group of a loop if n is greater than or equal to 6. If n is after 5, then An is multiplication group of a loop. So now let me discuss some problem which actually I am interested. There are some more, but I am interested in these three. So the first problem is this. So let P and Q be the primes, and Q is different from 1 mod P. So now the question is, there is any Moufang loop of order P Q to the power 4 other than group? It means there is no example known till now other than group of order P to the power PQ to the power 4, which is Moufang loop but not a group. And the second problem, which I am interested, that does there exist an odd order loop of nilpotency class 3 whose inner mapping group is abelian? So till date, no odd order loop is known of nilpotency class 3 whose inner mapping group is abelian. And the third thing is, if L is topological loop which is compact, Hausdorff, and totally disconnected, so question is L profinite? So in case of group, both conditions are equivalent. So if the group is a profinite, if and only if it is compact, Hausdorff, and totally disconnected. But in the case of topological loop, this is an open question. So the first answer to this third question, they actually was given by Harford and Klaumann. They proved that a Boolean loop. So Boolean loop is nothing but the compact loop, Hausdorff loop, and totally disconnected. So a loop which is compact, Hausdorff, and totally disconnected, it is called as Boolean loop. So Boolean loop with finite left inner mapping group. So what is left inner mapping group? That they are the subgroup of left multiplication group which fixes identity is profinite. And actually I generalized their result that Boolean loop with compact. So I generalize from finiteness to compactness, that Boolean loop with compact left inner mapping group is profinite. Other than these two results, nothing is known to this third problem. Okay, so this actually finishes the first part of loop. Now let me come to the second part, which is the gyro group. So what is gyro group? Okay, so actually story begins with Einstein in 1905. So Einstein in 1905, when he was studying the relativistic velocity addition in R3C, where C is the velocity of light, it means the open ball with radius C, because we assume that velocity cannot go beyond the C. So he actually defined the addition of velocity like that. But Abraham Ungar in 88 actually observed that R3C, that this open ball with radius C, together with this addition law of velocity, satisfies some extra conditions, and it means it is some special kind of algebraic structure, and thus he introduced the concept of gyro group. And this prefix gyro is coming because of some notion of Thomas gyration in physics, which I actually don't know, but he actually coined this term as a gyro group. So if we take C to be 1, if we normalize the velocity of light, so this R31, that unit ball together with this addition law appears as a loop transversal inside the O31 to the subgroup O3 cross O1. So what is O3? So On is the group of orthogonal matrices. And what is O31? O31 is collection of 4x4 matrices A, such that A transpose J A is equal to J, where J is the diagonal matrix 1, 1, 1 and -1. So So this is this R31, this gyro group appears as a loop transversal inside O31. Okay, so let me define precisely what is gyro group. So what is gyro group? So let us take LO to be a right loop. So what is the right loop? The right loop is basically the algebraic structure in which only right hand side equations are they are uniquely solvable. Okay, so if we consider this associativity condition, so there is a the twist in associativity, because there is no guarantee that associative law hold. So we get some kind of twist here. So there is a bijection Fyz from L to L because we have the right loop case. So this LO, the right loop, is called a gyro group if this condition is satisfied, and FAB, they are the automorphisms of right loop. So this is the definition for gyro group as an algebraic system. And gyro groups are low. This is the fact. It means with these conditions, the left equation is also uniquely solvable in the case of gyro group. So it means gyro group are the loops also. It need not be group. Groups are automatically gyro group, but when we usually say gyro group, so we actually means that gyro group other than the group case. So other examples. So first example we have seen in the Einstein case. In the case of Einstein, other example is this. If we take the Mobius transformation of unit disk like that, and if we define AOB here in D, then D together with this binary operation is a gyro group. So unit disk with this binary operation is a gyro group. Okay, so let us come to some algebraic other case associated to a group. So start with a group. So let G be a group, and we define another binary operation O on G like this. So XY is equal to Y inverse XY square. So Fogel and Ungar, they actually observed that GO is a gyro group if and only if G is central by two angel group. So what is a two angel group? So two angel elements are elements such that the commutator X, Y, Y is 1 for all. It means the two angel group are those group in which each element satisfies this condition. The commutator X, Y, Y 1. So triple commutator X, Y, Y is 1 for all the elements in that group. It is called two angel group, and they actually proved that GO with respect to O, this operation, if I defined on a group, this is a gyro group if it is G is central by two angel group, and the two angel group are, the example of two angel group is the group of exponent 3 is example of two angel group. So from now on, if I see, there is two things on the same thing. There is a group G, and there is another binary operation O, and if this condition is satisfied, G is central by two angel group, then this is a gyro group. Okay, so if in particular, if I take G to be the group of nilpotency class 3, because it is an I think observation in Robinson's book. If G is a group of nilpotency class 3, then it is central by two angel group. Then if so, in particular, if I take G to be nilpotent group of nilpotent class 3, then GO is a gyro group because of this theorem. Okay, so from now on, if I whenever I will say O, so I will mean this binary operation. From now, when I will say GO, so O is nothing but this particular type of binary operation. Okay. So recently, together with my PhD student, what we have observed, so we actually wanted to study the property of this binary operation associated with a group. So what we have observed, that G is a nilpotent group of class 3. So we wanted to observe when GO is the nilpotent loop of class 2. So what are the conditions when the nilpotency class will reduce in loop case? So what we found actually, so GO is a loop of class 2 if and only if the cube of the commutator belongs to the commutant of the loop GO. So what is commutant? So let me discuss the idea of this proof. So what is commutant? Commutant is collection of those elements which commutes with every element in G. Okay. So now we have two structure on G. One is group structure, and I have added one extra structure O such that GO is a gyro group. Okay. So now the natural question is, what is the concept of commutator in the case of loop? So the commutator of the loop is defined as the unique solution of this identity. XOY is equal to K kappa XY and YOX. Because we are in the loop case, so both sided equation are satisfied. So for the convenience, I have taken the right equation. So the solutions of these equations are called as the commutator of loop. Now the next strategy is, what is the relation of the commutator and the relation in the group. So what we have obtained, the commutator of loop is actually this thing. It can be written in terms of the commutator of group. Now what I want, so if GO is of class 2, if and only if commutator of loop has to go inside the center of the loop, and we see, because G is of nilpotency class 3, so all the this triple GGG sits inside the center of group, and center of group sits inside the center of loop. And if you recall, what is the center of loop? Center of loop is the nucleus intersected with commutant. So one has to observe that this condition holds in our case, and hence we obtain that the cube of commutator has to go inside the commutant of the loop. So this is some idea of the proof of this theorem. Okay. Now next we actually observe that if G is a nilpotent group of class 3 such that 3 does not divide the order of G, then GO is nilpotent loop of class 3. It means if 3 does not divide the order of G, then the nilpotency class of group is exactly same as the nilpotency class of the loop. So it means it will not reduce. Okay. So what is the strategy? I think I will skip this proof because there are some more slides. So let me skip the thing. Okay. So now let me come back to that open problem, that second open problem. What the open problem was, whether there exists an odd order loop whose inner mapping group is abelian or not. So to study that problem, we divided the two cases. 3 divides the order of G and 3 does not divide the order of G. So first we obtain that if 3 does not divide the order of G, then inner mapping group is not abelian. It means there is no hope to get the example that whether inner mapping group is abelian or not. So it means we have to look the 3 group. The 3 group means the group of order 3 to the power n. So this is our hope. So we have actually obtained some condition where one can hope to get some example in which inner mapping group is abelian. So if it exists, so one has to go like that. If there is a 3 group for which the cube of commutator does not go inside the commutant of the loop, and exponent of this commutator group is not 3, and this power 9, the triple commutator, has to coincide here, then one can hope to get example in the case of 3 group where inner mapping group is abelian. Actually, we calculated this thing for the gap, but up to certain order we cannot go beyond that. I think up to 5 to the power 7 we have checked, but these conditions are trivially this condition, the theorem, where what was the theorem, the previous theorem, these conditions are to be satisfied. So we are not getting any case because we need the nilpotent loop of class 3. So we checked whatever we have checked in gap, these conditions are satisfied. So we need actually this condition need not be satisfied. Okay. Now let me come to the final thing. So now actually what we are studying currently, so okay, let me define this. So this is the short exact sequence of groups. So H is normal subgroup and G mod H in K. And now we know that it is a split extension. If there is a section, it is a mapping from K to G, which is a homomorphism. But we actually study some slightly different section. So if there is a section T from K to G such that this condition T y inverse xy square, Ty inverse Tx Ty square holds. So this is a section which is different from the homomorphism. Each homomorphism satisfies this condition. But there are examples where there is such kind of splitting. So we call such maps as gyro homomorphism. So if there is a section which is gyro homomorphism, then we call this short exact sequence as a gyro split extension. So what is the first example? So first example is this. If we take the group of order 27 and which is of exponent 3, and if we consider this central extension, so one can observe that there is a section from Z3 cross Z3 to E, which is, it cannot be split. This extension cannot be split. But this is a gyro split extension. There is a splitting, there is a section which is a gyro homomorphism from Z3 cross Z3 to E. So actually, what is happening here, this is some kind of interesting case here. Why? Because section is injective map. So the image of T, sorry, the image of K under T sits inside G. But that T is not homomorphism. So T behaves differently. So section actually gives me some kind of embedding here. So there is some set which appears as a complement of H, which is not a group, but which satisfies the condition of O. What is O? Y inverse xy square. So it means there is a subset inside G which is closed under the non-associative thing. So in that manner, we can define the internal gyro semi-direct product of normal subgroup with a subset S, and subset S is has a property that which is closed under the binary operation O. So recall that O xy is equal to y inverse xy square, and the solution, it means whenever I take x and y inside S, then solution exists inside S, and that is it is a transversal, and S is transversal to H in G. So we define the gyro semi-direct product. So natural question is, as we have in the case of internal semi-direct product, so if G is internal semi-direct product of two group, we have very basic theorem that H is non-normal, K is normal, and H intersection K is identity, and HK is full of G. So now there is the similar theorem that what we can do in the case of gyro splitting and the gyro internal semi-direct product. So this is the joint work with Ramjilan, that a group is internal gyro semi-direct product of a normal subgroup H with a subset S described above, like that, if and only if G can be written as HS and Y square H intersection S is the singleton Y square for all Y in S. Okay. So now the natural question is to study some other thing. Let us consider K to be a group, and this K or K be the standard multiplication presentation on K. So standard multiplication presentation on K, and if this K check denote the group with the presentation SK check, where SK is the collection of all words like that, all words like that, where juxtaposition is the operation in group, and this star is the binary operation on the free group on K. And one can check that the normal subgroup of this SK check sits inside this standard presentation thing, and one can define the mapping T from K to K like that, and in turn we get the short exact sequence, and this T is actually TK is actually the section from K to K check. I think this is a typo here. This has to be K check. This is K check here. So this is section from K to K check, such that which is a gyro homomorphism. So in turn we get this gyro splitting, which is actually a free gyro split extension. So this is the construction for free gyro split extension. Okay. So let us come to the central extension. So let us consider this to be central extension, that is H sits inside the center of G, and a 2 cocycle F is called a gyro pairing if F satisfies such type of condition. So it means I can collect all the gyro pairing here, which we denote by GZ2. GZ2KH denotes set of all gyro pairing. So set of all 2 cocycle which satisfies some extra condition. So this actually a subgroup of this Z2KH, and if I intersect with the co-boundary, 2 co-boundary, so let me denote the corresponding set by GB2. So the GZ2 mod GB2 is we defined as a gyro homology, second gyro homology for this central extension, this HGK. And now if we take this thing, then one can check that this is the free gyro split central extension. And if we start with any presentation of K, and if we take eta to be the surjective homomorphism from free group on X to free group on X, the mapping is defined like this. So W1, W2, WR, they are the words in FFX, and S cap, S hat is the inverse image of S under the eta. So the natural question is what is the relation between gyro cohomology, and there is something Schur-Hopf type formula as we have in the group case. So we actually found that this is the Schur-Hopf type formula, that gyro, second gyro cohomology K with the coefficient in C star, K treated as trivial module. C star is a trivial module as a home. Fx, it means similar to the Schur-Hauptausch formula. So as a corollary, if K is a finite group, then this GS2 is this thing. So this was all about I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Vipul, for this nice talk. And now the time for interaction. So please ask questions if you have.
Yes.
Vipul, can you please recall what do you mean by standard multiplication presentation?
Okay. So standard multiplication presentation, each group has a table, corresponding table.
Yeah.
So it means we take the free group on the group.
Okay.
Take the free. It means take G as a set X generating set,
Mhm.
and the relation which I am getting in the table.
Multiplication table.
Multiplication table.
And you get the group back.
What?
You get the group back or it is something else?
No. To get the group G, because every group G is
Yeah.
a quotient of that free group in this manner.
Okay. And I have one more